The Wolf and the Shepherd's Son. The shepherd thought his son was old enough now to guard sheep all by himself. So one morning he sent his son off with the flock into the hills. "What if a wolf comes along?" the boy asked. "Just give us a shout," his father replied, "and we'll come and frighten him off." Day after day, the shepherd's son watched over his father's sheep. The days were hot and long. Nothing ever seemed to happen, and the boy became very bored and fed up. So he thought he'd make something happen, just for fun. Leaving his sheep, he ran over the hill, waving his arms and shouting as loud as he could. "Wolf! Wolf!" Just as he had hoped, all the villagers, his father among them, stopped everything they were doing and came running with their sticks to drive away the wolf. But of course, as they soon discovered, there was no wolf. "Ha ha ha! Fooled ye! Ha ha! Fooled ye!" laughed the shepherd's son. But neither his father nor the villagers thought it was very funny at all. What a nuisance. Some days later, the shepherd's son played the same trick again. "Wolf! Wolf!" he cried at the top of his voice, and again all the villagers came running. "Fooled you! Fooled you!" he laughed. But no one else was laughing. "You need to give up with that lad." And his father was very angry indeed. The next day, as the shepherd's son sat watching his sheep, he really did see a wolf slinking toward the sheep through the long grass. He leaped to his feet at once and ran over the hill, shouting as loud as he could, "Wolf! Wolf!" But neither his father nor the villagers came, because none of them believed him. Not this time. "He tricked us once, he tricked us twice," his father said. "He'll not trick us a third time. There is no wolf. He's just playing games." "Help, father! Please help!" cried the shepherd's son as the wolf came slinking closer. "There really is a wolf!" But no one would listen to him. Meanwhile, the wolf attacked the flock and killed all the sheep he could. And the shepherd's son, too. Brutal. The shepherd's son certainly felt the consequences of his actions there. What morals could we take from The Wolf and the Shepherd's Son, also known by its more famous title, The Boy Who Cried Wolf? One of the most famous of the Aesop's fables. Very dramatic, certainly a conclusion that sticks with you as a child. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, thank you for the wonderful comments coming in on day 12. Belling the cat, as you could probably hear, I had quite a lot of fun with that one. Any excuse to have some silly voices in there. I love bringing these stories to life in as entertaining a way as I can. Setting the scene with some fitting music, getting into character. And with that one, as well as with quite a few of the other stories, I did use a little bit of creative license as well. I'm often adding a little bit of extra dialogue just to flesh the stories out a little bit, add a little bit more character here and there. And this one, with the crisis meeting of mice, was a perfect opportunity for that. So the lines from that particularly nervous sounding mice were of my own creation, as well as the "bake him into a pie." I just thought that was quite an amusing picture. I was imagining a mouse right at the back of the room, just sounding increasingly desperate and just calling out that they should bake him into a pie. I mean, how is that even possible? How would the mice do that? But the chief mouse, rightly in the first instance, pointed out that none of those suggestions were really feasible and that they needed to come up with a more practical solution. And a bunch of you, and I understand it, were rather disappointed, really, that story didn't come to a more satisfying conclusion. But that really was intertwined with the morals behind that story, I think. A few of you suggested some take-home messages. Persistence and tenacity often lead to success. A plan is a good idea until someone must put it to action. Easier said than done. Saying something should be done is one thing. Doing it is often altogether more difficult. But I agree with you, Fox fans. I feel like the mice did give up a little bit too easily there. Or perhaps there was more to the story. I mean, the chief mouse finished saying, "We'll have to think again, won't we?" I hope they came up with something. And preferably a non-violent solution, right? It sounded like Sun Young as a cat mommy was a little bit concerned in the beginning there that the cat was going to come to a sticky end. But we never found out. A couple of you did suggest alternate endings. Maybe we should come up with a fitting conclusion to that story. Perhaps we should even just start writing our own fables. I think we've got what it takes. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Thank you for keeping those suggestions coming. You're a wonderful bunch. I hope you're doing well, wherever you are, and whatever you're up to. Read to you soon.